and welcome back to my channel for another video.
You fill my head with roses, I can't help but dream away, standing on a field with you and flowers everywhere.
And today I am going to be doing a story time, and I'm going to be doing a two-part series for this one because I have a lot to tell. And the story I am sharing today is all about my intracranial hypertension diagnosis and everything that has to do with the lumbar puncture that I had back in December, but that will all be in part 2. Today I am focusing more on the backstory on how we led everything that led to my intracranial hypertension diagnosis and the journey, symptoms, and everything that happened. If you're new on here, hi, I'm Ola, I'm 19. I live with multiple chronic illnesses such as FND or functional neurological disorder, chronic migraines. My legs are paralyzed. I'm paralyzed from the waist down, and I have a lot of neurological things going on basically. And I had an encephalitis when I was 10 years old, which will be relevant to this story a little bit later, so I just wanted to put that as the kind of backstory. And all of this story is going to take place in 2022 with some flashbacks to a little bit before that, but most of this story took place all during the year, and that's what I'm going to be sharing. And if you enjoy this, please subscribe to my channel and turn on the post notification bell so you get notified whenever I upload next. And also leave a like to do this video, it always helps my channel out. And now without further ado, let's jump straight into this story. So everything started in May when I went to change my glasses. I just went to my ophthalmologist to get my eyes checked because I thought that my glasses prescription had changed. I hadn't been to check if my glasses were still good for me for 3 years, and I thought that I couldn't see very well, so it was time to go and get it checked out. And it's important to know for this story that my ophthalmologist has been following me for over 10 years now, so she knows me very well, and she has all of my backstory and all of my like medical history and all of that because she was with me through it all. Basically, during the appointment, I told her that some days I felt like I was going blind, like I couldn't see, but only for like a couple of days here and there, and then it came back. It was like someone put a filter and I couldn't see clearly. Everything was kind of blurry and weird and I just couldn't see, and she was a little bit like, okay. So we didn't know what to do with that information, but she said that she had a new machine, I guess, to take pictures of the back of the eyes, so to see the optical nerves and all of that. And since I hadn't been in a few years, she didn't have one of my eyes, so she was like, let's do this and maybe like we can see. But she was pretty much sure that I was perfectly fine. So we took the pictures, and she looked at the screen, and as she was about to show me the picture, she was like, oh, look at your beautiful eyes, and suddenly like her whole face dropped and she became so serious, and she was like, oh, because my optical nerves weren't looking good or normal. So that was kind of scary, but for her it wasn't something that we had to be worried about because she didn't have any other like past pictures to go off of, and she was like, maybe they were like that like since you were born. So she was like, don't worry about it, it can happen. Some people have enlarged optical nerves. She said it's like a buildup of cells on top of the optical nerves that makes it appear larger. So she said, come back in 3 months and we will redo the pictures and see if it has changed or not. So that's what we did, and I continued having these weird vision spells, but I honestly thought at that point I was just going crazy and I was imagining things. So I went back in August for the 3 months checkup, which was the 23rd of August, and basically we did the pictures all over again. I'm very sorry for the lighting changes. The sun is playing hide and seek today. Hopefully it doesn't bother you too much. But so we did the pictures again and nothing had changed. My optical nerves were still looking not normal, well, abnormal. And she said there is something called atypical optical nerves. It's probably just that, but because of your past history, which is why I mentioned it earlier, I had encephalitis when I was 10 years old, and I had a lesion from the encephalitis on, I think it was my left optical nerve, and they were inflamed while I had it. So because I had some past things going on, she wanted to triple check that it was nothing because she wasn't specialized in that, and she put in a referral for me to go to a specific optical hospital to go see a neuro-ophthalmologist, so one that is specialized in optical nerves. And I had to wait until November to finally go to this appointment. It was the 3rd of November of 2022, and it was a weird experience. It was kind of a hectic day. We had to be there like quite early, and then I had like a bunch of appointments all around the hospital, which was kind of weird. I started by taking pictures of like the back of my eyes, but with 3 different machines, and then I saw the assistant of the specialist, and he did the first round of evaluation, and they saw something, and so the specialist came in, and then she redid the whole evaluation again, and she saw something too. Turned out it was absolutely nothing. They thought it was like when there's one eye that is in the middle and the other one like is like inside or something. It's not that at all, but they thought they saw that, but that was brushed aside completely. It was not that. At some point with the specialist, my mom mentioned the encephalitis I had as a child, and it's like a light bulb went out in her head, I guess, because suddenly it was super clear for her what was going on with me. So the buildup of tissue on the optical nerves was pushed aside because it wasn't shown on their images, so that wasn't the case. And then there was a second possible diagnosis, which I don't remember what it was, but it was also brushed aside because I didn't fit all the criteria. So the only left option of what it could be was intracranial hypertension. So I was sent for a brain MRI, and I had to go back to my other ophthalmologist for another test, which it's not really relevant to this story, so I'm just gonna skip that one. And then on the 24th of November, I went in for my brain MRI, which that was like super easy, in and out, and I had a realization in the time between those two appointments, and I was getting weird headaches, but they were getting more and more frequent. And at first I thought they were just my migraines, but they were weird, and usually I had them at the same time that I had those weird vision issues, and it was a little bit weird. And on the 28th of November, I had a neurology appointment for my chronic migraines. I have a follow-up pretty frequently to check where I'm at and how I'm doing with my treatment and all of that. And I decided to mention to them those weird headaches. And when I said headaches, intracranial hypertension, and encephalitis, they had the same light bulb going out, and they were like, yeah, that's typical headaches with intracranial hypertension. And they are actually those neurologists are in the top hospital of my country, and they decided to take on the whole case. And so I stopped going to the other neuro-ophthalmologist, and they took on everything from there. So like, they are following me for the migraines, and they took all the intracranial hypertension stuff with it too, so that everything is in the same hospital. So a couple days later, I don't have the exact date for that, I got a phone call because they had the MRI results and for the brain MRI, and it showed that I had edemas behind my eyes, which is an accumulation of liquid compressing the optical nerves, which is a result of intracranial hypertension. So by that time, it was pretty much known that that's what it was. There wasn't much doubt possible, but the only way to confirm it and treat it was to do a lumbar puncture. So that's what we had to go ahead with. And on the 14th of December, I got the phone call to schedule the lumbar puncture, or spinal tap, maybe someone knows it better as a spinal tap. It's basically like a huge needle that goes in your back, and it goes in between the vertebrae, in the very back, very lower back, and it goes into draw and like take out some of the liquid, which is the how do you call that one? Spinal fluid, yeah. And like, they basically drain some of it, and it lowers the pressure. And while they do their thing, they can also measure how much pressure there is, so they can know exactly at what pressure you're at in the brain. And the appointment for the puncture was set on the 20th of December, and by that time I was getting more and more headaches. Still had the weird vision issues, but I think the worst part by that time was the headaches that were getting worse and worse. It was like the worst headaches. They were like 10 out of 10 pain, and really like weird. It felt like I didn't have enough space in my brain and everything was squished, which was very weird. But yeah, that was what it was. And then for the actual lumbar puncture, which is going to be the last part of this video, I went in on the 20th. I left the house bright and early because I had the appointment for 10:30. I had to be at my hospital. It was going to be an outpatient thing, so you go in the morning, you leave at night kind of procedure. And I had a lumbar puncture when I had my encephalitis when I was 10, and that one went horribly wrong. I will do like a whole story time on this encephalitis because I've been meaning to do it and I never do because I have PTSD from that whole experience, and it's still very hard for me to talk about. And I think I should do it to kind of heal from it too, because this year I am celebrating in April the 10th year anniversary of this. But I think panicked is not even strong enough to describe how I was feeling when I went in for the lumbar puncture because of the PTSD. I had been giving some anxiety medication which didn't do anything at all, so I was a little bit freaked out, to say the least. I was completely terrified, but I didn't have another choice, so I went in. And then when we got to the admission, they like talked to us about, I was with my parents, they talked to us like about how it was going to be going and all the procedure and all of that. And then at 11 I was called to go down to the place where they do it because we specifically requested that I was going to do it under radiology guidance. So basically a lumbar puncture can be done in a hospital bed, in a hospital room, which was what it was done last time, and it went horribly wrong. And we are almost certain that they like did something wrong, and I didn't want that to have a chance of happening again. So they offered to do it under radiology to make sure it would go as smoothly as possible. So I went down to the place where they do it, and we talked to the two people that were going to do it. They were so nice and like talked me through the whole thing. And then once I was in position, which I was laying down on my side so they could have access to my back, like they continued talking to me the whole time to like have me be as calm as possible and just, yeah, basically just keeping me better, I guess. And it was honestly super quick. I didn't feel anything. The only thing I felt was the numbing thing. They poked me once with a needle to numb the area, and that burned a lot. It was very painful, and I'm pretty sure I didn't get that the last time I had a lumbar puncture, because I think I would have remembered because it was horrible. But after that I didn't feel almost anything. They first measured the pressure, and like that's all what we learned afterwards. My pressure was at 28 of pressure, and above 20 is considered abnormal. But also like some people go up to 60, so it wasn't too bad, but I still had intracranial hypertension. So I was officially diagnosed, and they did a couple of rounds to draw out some of the liquid until I reached a normal pressure, and I was at a 12. So that was much more acceptable and much more normal, and I was done. At that point I was done. I didn't have intracranial hypertension anymore. I will have to be on meds for a really long time because of this, but that was done. I am not gonna go any further in the story because right as they were done, it went downhill from there, and I don't mean this lightly. It went from worse to hell to worse than that. I don't know, but it was a absolutely horrible time, and I left the hospital and had to be re-hospitalized the same week, and that was all Christmas week, so it was a whole mess. I won't get too much into it. If you want to see that, don't forget to subscribe to my channel and turn on the post notification bell so you get notified whenever I upload that video, which will be probably my next video right after this one. I hope you enjoyed this kind of crazy story. It was really a pure luck that we found that out, because my ophthalmologist just had the equipment to be able to find this, so I didn't, like, it was just pure luck and it was faith, I guess, and I am extremely lucky. I got out of this without too much permanent damage, so I still haven't had my post test, like post after that tests with my neurologist and ophthalmologist to see where I'm at, so I don't know if I'm doing well or not yet, but I will continue to give updates on all of this, and if you want to see the rest of the story, it will be up shortly. And also follow me on all of my other socials to see more daily updates on there, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye!